Welcome to the Deep Dive. Thanks for sending in the source material. It's Congressional Bill H.R.207, the Shark Act of 2025. Looks like it's moving through the legislative process right now.
It is, and it deals with an issue we're hearing more about, shark depredation.
Right, shark depredation. Let's just quickly define that for everyone.
Sure. Basically, in this context, it means those times when sharks interfere with fishing, like taking fish right off the line. It's a headache for fishers, but it also touches on, bigger questions about ocean health.
Okay, got it. So, Shark Act. It's a catchy name.
Definitely grabs your attention.
But the full title is, hang on, Supporting the Health of Aquatic Systems Through Research Knowledge and Enhanced Dialogue Act of 2025. That sounds much broader.
It really does, and that difference is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. What do you make of that?
Well, shark points straight at the problem of the shark interactions. But that long title, it suggests the approach is wider. It's about research, talking to each other, and the health of the whole system, not just, say, controlling sharks.
Okay. It signals a more, maybe scientific and collaborative approach.
Oh, I think that's the idea, yeah.
So, tracing its path. Introduced in the House, passed there. Then, January 22nd, 2025, it went to the Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation. That's where it sits now.
That's right. That it got through the House tells you something.
Like, there's some consensus that this needs looking at.
Exactly. There's momentum. Passing one chamber means it's got legs, and now the Senate is digging into it.
Okay, so a big piece of this act is setting up a Shark Depredation Task Force. And it's not just suggested, it's mandated, right? The Secretary of Commerce has to create it.
Yes, mandated. That's a strong signal. It means they're serious about creating a dedicated group focused specifically on this problem, not leaving it optional.
Makes sense. So who's going to be in this group? The bill seems pretty detailed about the membership.
Oh, very detailed. They want a really diverse group around the table.
Okay, like who?
Well, one person from each regional fishery management council, the bodies that manage fisheries in different parts of the country.
Right.
And also one rep from each Marine Fisheries Commission, those interstate bodies.
Okay, so regional and interstate management folks.
Yep. Then they want someone from a coastal state's Fish and Wildlife Agency, but specifically one from within each of those regional council areas.
So getting state-level input tied to those specific regions.
Exactly. Plus, someone from the National Marine Fisheries Service, the federal agency.
So that covers the management side pretty thoroughly, federal, regional, state.
It seems so, but it's not just managers.
Oh. Who else?
The bill also calls for an expert in managing highly migratory species. Think tuna, billfish, and many sharks fall into that category.
Okay, that makes sense given the subject.
And then two researchers specifically, one with expertise in shark management and behavior.
Understanding how sharks act.
Right. And another researcher focused on shark ecology, so their role in the bigger ocean picture.
Wow, that is a broad mix. Why pull in all those specific types?
Well, you get the practical management side, right, from the councils and agencies.
Yeah.
But then you add the scientific understanding. How do these animals behave? Where do they fit in the ecosystem? The migratory piece adds that cross-boundary perspective, too. It's trying to get a holistic picture.
Okay, so they assemble this diverse team. What's their job description, basically? What does the bill tell them to do?
Their first big task is boosting coordination. Getting the fisheries managers and the shark researchers talking more effectively, working together.
Bridging that gap.
Yeah.
Seems fundamental.
Absolutely. Often those groups operate in slightly different spheres, so linking them up is key.
What else is on their plate?
Identifying research priorities, figuring out what we don't know and need to find out, and crucially, where the money for that research might come from.
Funding. Always important.
Right.
Does the bill suggest what kind of research?
It does. It lists several areas, like which shark species are actually involved most often. We need better data on that.
Okay. Basic identification.
Yep. Also, shark stock assessments. How are the populations doing? Are they healthy, declining?
Critical info for any management.
Definitely. Then there's habituation. Are sharks getting used to humans or fishing boats, and is that leading to more interactions?
That's a really interesting one. Our behavior influencing theirs.
Potentially, yeah. And related to that, they need to look at how angler behavior and maybe even existing fishing rules might be playing a role.
So looking inward at the human side of the equation, too.
For sure. And a big one, developing and evaluating non-lethal ways to reduce these interactions. Deterrence, maybe changes in technique.
Non-lethal. That suggests trying to coexist, not just eliminate the issue.
I think that's a fair reading. It fits with another research point too, understanding the role sharks play in the food web, their ecological importance.
Right, the bigger picture again.
And finally, climate change. How might that be affecting shark distribution, their prey, their behavior, and how that connects to depredation?
That's a huge factor for everything in the oceans. So it's a pretty massive research brief.
It really is. But they're not just meant to study things.
They need to propose solutions.
Exactly. Develop recommended management strategies. Based on all that research and coordination, what should actually be done about depredation?
Okay. And does that include outreach?
Yes. Coordinating educational materials for fishermen. Things like best practices, maybe changing how people fish, or even managing expectations about encountering sharks.
So research, management recommendations, and education. A sort of three-legged stool.
That's a good way to put it, and there's structure to make sure it happens.
Like deadlines. Reporting.
Yeah, they have to report to Congress every 2 years, starting within 2 years after they're set up.
Keeps the pressure on, keeps Congress in the loop.
Right, and there's a sunset clause too. The whole task force terminates no later than 7 years after it starts.
7 years. That's specific. Why a time limit, do you think?
Well, it suggests they expect concrete results within that window. It's not meant to be a permanent committee. Get the work done, make recommendations, and then maybe things transition into regular management. Creates focus.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, you mentioned coastal states earlier. The bill defines coastal state pretty broadly, doesn't it?
It really does. Atlantic, Pacific, Arctic coasts, Gulf of Mexico, Long Island Sound, but also Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, the Northern Marianas, American Samoa.
So it covers a huge range of environments and jurisdictions.
Absolutely. It acknowledges this isn't just a, say, Florida problem or a California problem. It's widespread.
And reinforcing the research angle, the Act actually amends the Big Fisheries Law, the Magnuson-Stevens Act.
It does. It adds language to make sure projects to better understand shark depredation are specifically eligible for research funding under Magnuson-Stevens.
So embedding it into existing structures for funding.
Exactly. It's trying to leverage existing mechanisms to make sure the research gets prioritized and hopefully funded, identify causes, find solutions.
Okay, but one really important point you flagged from the text, this bill doesn't mess with existing major laws like the Endangered Species Act or the main parts of Magnuson-Stevens, right?
Correct. It explicitly states that the authority of the Secretary of Commerce under those acts isn't affected.
Why is that clarification so important?
It means this new task force and its recommendations have to work within the boundaries of existing conservation law. It's not creating loopholes or undermining protections for endangered species or the fundamental principles of fisheries management. It's an addition, not a replacement or subtraction.
Got it. So it operates within the established framework.
Precisely.
Okay, let's try and wrap this up then. We've got the Shark Act aiming at shark depredation. The core is this mandated task force.
Right, with diverse membership managers, scientists, state, federal, regional.
Their job, coordinate, research key areas like species ID, habituation, non-lethal methods.
Develop management strategies and educate the fishing community.
All with reporting requirements and a 7-year lifespan.
And it specifically opens doors for more research funding under existing law while making clear it respects things like the Endangered Species Act.
It really lays out a structured, multifaceted plan to tackle a complex issue.
It certainly seems thorough on paper. The goal seems to be informed, collaborative solutions.
So for everyone listening thinking about this, it really throws into sharp relief that constant tension, doesn't it, between human activities like fishing and the health of marine ecosystems and the animals within them. You have to wonder, how might the work of this task force, assuming the bill passes and it gets going, actually change how we interact with sharks and the ocean down the road?
Yeah, and what part do our own actions as individuals out on the water or even making choices on land play in all this? It's definitely something to chew on.
Indeed. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.